Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're unpacking a genuinely profound excerpt from a piece called The Architecture of Autonomy. We are fundamentally rethinking a concept we all kind of think we understand, and that's freedom. The source text we're looking at today completely flips the script on what it actually means to be free. And honestly, unpacking it step by step is going to shift how you view pretty much everything.
So what are you trying to be free from? Seriously, I want you to just think about that for a second. We all have a list, right? Maybe it's a super stressful situation, an exhausting daily routine, a dead-end project, or just the endless, overwhelming demands on your time. It is so incredibly natural to look at the exhausting things in our lives and just desperately want to escape them. We spend so much time and energy just trying to get away. But what if that very instinct, that urge to escape, is actually pointing us in the exact wrong direction?
That brings us to Section 1, Two Kinds of Freedom, Redefining Our Ultimate Goal. The core premise here introduces a really fascinating split. Let's look at the exact words from the text. Quote, "There's a lot of difference between trying to be free from something and trying to be free to do something." Just let that sink in for a moment. There is a massive fundamental gap here. One mindset is entirely about escaping a negative, which, is exhausting because you're constantly fighting against something you dislike. But the other is entirely about creating a positive. It's energizing because your focus is entirely on building something new.
Section 2, Freedom to versus Freedom from, the core contrast. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive difference in how these two ideas actually play out in our day-to-day.
On one side, we've got freedom from. This is fundamentally reactive. When you operate in this mode, you're essentially looking in the rearview mirror, fixated on the negative thing you're trying to outrun. It totally consumes your attention. On the flip side, we have freedom to, and this is entirely proactive. You're looking right through the windshield at the positive reality you want to build. It's literally the fundamental difference between running away and running toward. One leaves you drained, and the other gives you purpose.
And, the text doesn't just leave this as some neutral observation. It gives us a very clear, definitive directive. It says we should always try to gain freedom to do something rather than getting freedom from something. Always. That is an incredibly strong word. The source is telling us definitively which of these two paths we absolutely must actively choose if we want to build true autonomy. We've got to stop fixating on the escape route and start fixating on the destination.
All right, Section 3, the path of self-reliance, building proactive freedom.
So if our ultimate goal is this freedom to, well, we need a practical vehicle to actually get there, right? The text defines that vehicle as self-reliance. But notice the specific nuance here. It's striving to be someone who has control to do what they love and work on what matters. It's not about just completely isolating yourself from the world or doing everything totally alone. Not at all. It is about striving for a very deliberate, intentional type of control over your own trajectory and your own choices. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the author actually gives us a precise, compound definition of what this looks like in practice. Step 1. Gain control to do what you love. It all starts with personal passion and establishing your own agency. Step 2. Work on something that matters to you. It has to have personal significance and deep meaning to keep you moving forward when things inevitably get difficult. And Step 3. Work on something that matters to others. This is such a brilliant addition because it connects your personal autonomy right back to the wider world. You aren't just building freedom in a vacuum. You're building freedom that actually has an impact.
Which brings us to Section 4, the automatic bonus, the paradigm shift. So the crucial point is, what happens when we actually follow those steps? What happens to all those exhausting things we originally wanted to escape so badly? Well, the text says if you strive for that proactive self-reliance, you would automatically get the freedom from the things that you don't want in life. Automatically. Just let the gravity of that realization land for a second. You do not have to fight the negative things directly. By pouring all of your focused energy into building the positive, the freedom to, the freedom from simply happens as a completely natural byproduct.
This brilliantly illustrates the entire logical flow of the text we've unpacked today. First, you strive for self-reliance. You build that internal control and purpose. Second, by doing so, you're forcing yourself to focus strictly on freedom to. You remain entirely proactive. And third, the magic result, freedom from, happens automatically. Focusing purely on positive action inherently solves your negative problems. The things you wanted to escape, they simply fall away because you've built an architecture for your life that literally just no longer supports them.
Which leaves us with one final, absolutely essential question. What will you build your freedom to do today?
I want you to take this paradigm shift and apply it right now. Stop plotting your escape from the things you're tired of and start actively designing your capability to do the things you absolutely love. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep striving, keep building that proactive freedom, and I'll catch you next time.